What if I told you that the businesses that dominate their markets don't just react to trends, they set them? And I don't mean that they get lucky or stumble into an idea at the right time. No, they anticipate what people will want before the rest of us even have the words for it. Take Steve Jobs for an example. Nobody was asking for an iPhone in the mid 2000s. We didn't even know what a smartphone was. But he saw it, he connected the dots before we did, and because of that, Apple didn't just release another product, they became a category leader. And here's the part that most people miss. You don't have to be Steve Jobs to do this. You don't have to outwork your competition or even move faster. You just have to see the opportunity before everyone else, because by the time they notice it, you've already claimed it. And listen, 99% of businesses will never do this. They'll keep reacting, keep scrambling, and keep hustling just to stay afloat. But the 1% move differently. They anticipate, they innovate, and they position themselves before the market shifts. This is how you outsmart, outpace, and outlast 99% of your competition, not by racing harder, but by knowing exactly where to be before the race even begins. So in this episode, I'll show you how to get and stay 3 moves ahead by building the kind of foresight that makes your success inevitable, long before your competition even knows what's happening. Welcome back to the Business Real Talk, where we strip away the noise and dig into what actually moves the needle in your business. Now, last week, we uncovered the funnel fuel framework, the 3 secret ingredients that most people overlook that makes funnels not just work, but convert. And today, we're taking that same competitive edge and zooming out, because while a powerful funnel can change the game, it's not enough to win the game. It's like having the best play in football. It only works if you're reading the whole field. So if you want to get ahead of 99% of businesses in a saturated market, you need to think bigger, move smarter, and position yourself so competition is irrelevant. Because let's be honest, business is freaking hard. It's no walk in the park, but it's exponentially harder when you're always trying to keep up or get ahead. You're left in this perpetual state of hustling when what you really want is to be ahead of 99% of the businesses out there. Here's the move that most market leaders make quietly behind the scenes, the ones that make everything else they do far more effective. And here's a heads up. While this shift that I'm about to share with you looks simple at first glance, only about 1% of people will actually implement it. But if you do, it'll completely change how you approach every major decision in your business from here on out. And as a bonus, you'll stop chasing trends and start setting them. So let's jump in with some hard truths. A lot of entrepreneurs have gotten stuck in a cycle of chasing surface level goals. Things like get more clients, build a team, get recognition. But what really sets leaders apart, it's those deeper, almost unspoken desires that separate the leaders from the followers, the stuff that most people don't even talk about. Even if you haven't fully put words to it, here's what you're really after: to be the industry leader who calls the shots, not just the one scrambling to catch up in a crowded market. And to build a business that's stable and secure, designed to anticipate shifts in your market, your customers, and your competition. To gain freedom through systems and strategies that prevent crises so you can spend your energy on innovation instead of putting out fires, and to stop feeling behind competitors who always seem to know something you don't, and instead lead confidently. And finally, to break the cycle where growth stalls despite all your effort because you're constantly solving problems after they've already happened. And here's the thing. Most entrepreneurs know that they want all of these things, but here's where it gets tricky, because the way we've been told to get there is actually what sets your business up for the exact problems you're trying to avoid. And if you've been feeling like you're doing quote unquote all the right things, but still not seeing the payoff you expected, I'm going to show you exactly why. Now, you've probably heard this a million times. Just follow what's working. So what do most people do? They pick an industry leader they admire. They start reverse engineering their funnel, their ads, their messaging, their thinking, because if it worked for them, it should also work for me, right? Or maybe you've been told just to outwork everyone else, work longer hours, post more often, respond faster, pump out more content, do more personal outreach, as if simply being more productive somehow equals better results. And then, of course, there's the classic, just stay relevant and top of mind, my least favorite of all. So you end up chasing every trend, running bigger ad campaigns, trying to be everywhere at once, and you end up burning out while still scrambling to try and catch up. The problem? All of these are reactive strategies. They have you solving problems as they happen, chasing what worked for someone else, or scrambling to keep up with the latest trend. And when you're reactive, you're already behind, because in a saturated market, the people who get ahead and stay ahead don't wait for the game to change. They anticipate it. They create the change. That's why the quickest way to get ahead of 99% of businesses is to stop reacting to the present and start engineering the future. Because as you know, businesses that dominate aren't playing catch up. They make the rules that everyone else scrambles to follow. Think about business leaders like Steve Jobs, Sarah Blakely, Reed Hastings, and Howard Schultz. They weren't successful because they waited for the market to tell them what to do. They were successful because they anticipated what people would want before they even knew they wanted it, and they built it. So back in the late 1970s, Jobs imagined a world where every single home had a personal computer. Crazy, right? At that time, people thought computers belonged in research labs, not in living rooms. But he saw what was coming long before the rest of us. And think about it. What would life look like today if he hadn't had that foresight? These days, having a personal computer isn't a luxury, it's a baseline. That's the power of anticipating instead of reacting. Or take Sarah Blakely. Before shapewear was even a thing, she cut the feet off of her pantyhose and thought, other women are gonna want this. Nobody was talking about shapewear. There wasn't even a category yet, but she spotted the need before it even existed. And she turned a $5,000 investment into Spanx, a $1 billion empire, all because she moved before the market caught up. And remember Blockbuster? Yeah, we all do. In the late 90s, while they were cashing in on late fees, Reed Hastings was looking ahead. He knew internet speeds would eventually make streaming possible. So first, he mailed DVDs, then he pivoted to streaming, and the rest is history. Blockbuster was reacting to the present, and Netflix was engineering the future. That's why one's a case study in failure, and the other is a household name. And then there's Starbucks. In the early 80s, Howard Schultz went to Italy and fell in love with the cafe culture. At the time, Americans thought paying $3 for a coffee was ridiculous. Coffee was 50 cents at a diner, but Schultz wasn't selling coffee. He was selling a culture, an experience. He didn't just bring coffee to America, he redefined what coffee was. And in doing so, he set the pace the entire industry had to follow. This is how the 1% moves. They anticipate, they innovate, and they position themselves before the market even knows the opportunity exists. That's why the answer to getting ahead of 99% of businesses, even in the most saturated markets, is to be willing to see and do what most people won't, to set the pace instead of following it. I call this the Pacesetter Strategy, a proactive growth system that lets you see sooner, move earlier, and compound faster. By the time the market catches up, you're already in position. Don't chase the market, pre-position for it. So let's break down the three parts. Number one, IP directed growth. Now, while most businesses look around at what everyone else is doing and try to copy, tweak, or outmarket them, pace setters don't follow. They lead with their intellectual property. Your methodology, your unique way of solving problems becomes the anchor. This is what sets you apart, creates demand angles that nobody else is playing, and makes you irreplaceable. It's also what guides every action, decision, and direction for your business. Think of this as the compass that keeps you steady while everyone else is chasing shiny objects. A great example of this, Dyson. They patented over 5,000 prototypes before releasing their first vacuum. That IP made the brand unstoppable and created demand that no other competitor could touch. Same goes for EOS in the small business world. Their framework isn't just business coaching, it's the entrepreneurial operating system. They package their unique IP so clearly that people now self-identify as running on EOS. That is the power of leading with IP. Or Tony Robbins and his 6 human needs framework, or StoryBrand's brand script. The list goes on and on. Your IP creates the framework that people identify with like an entity of its own. This is why when we work together with our clients, we start with building out the IP and the structural methodology that allows you to create demand and create this entity that sells itself. So the question that you need to start asking yourself is this: if someone lined you up against 10 competitors, what's the undeniable proof that you would win every single time? Once you've nailed your IP, you've got the foundation. But the next level is what separates the ones who stay relevant from the ones who get left behind, which is market-led optimization. See, having something great just simply isn't enough. Leaders anticipate demand. Market foresight means spotting shifts before they go mainstream. So by the time competitors notice, you've already built the runway. So when Instagram saw that users were hacking the app to share short videos, they didn't ignore it. They built stories, and it became one of their biggest features. Netflix didn't just react to the DVD rental business, they optimized for where the market was going. Instead of just mailing DVDs, they anticipated the internet bandwidth would eventually make streaming scalable. So while Blockbuster was doubling down on late fees, Netflix was preparing to own the future. In business terms, this is about watching shifts in buyer psychology, regulation, or even tech, and building your positioning before the market gets there. You don't wait to be disrupted, you write the disruption playbook. It's like playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. They're reacting to the last move and you're setting up the next three. And you don't need to be a billion-dollar company to do this. You just need to ask yourself what shifts, desires, or frustrations are quietly building in your market right now, and how can your IP answer them before anyone else catches on? This is exactly what we do with our clients. If we build out a system that not only helps them create the innovation for today with their methodology and their IP, but allows them to create a consistent nose on the market to understand what demands are shifting within that. So they're always ahead of the rest because they have a constant system running in the background that allows them to identify those opportunities. So they're staying on top and being able to stay ahead of everyone else. So if you've got your IP and you're looking ahead with the foresight, now here's the kicker. None of this actually matters if you don't own the conversation in your market. So that's where step 3 comes in, what I call narrative control. If you don't control the narrative, someone else will. Whoever frames the problem and solution is who's going to control the buying decision. So pacesetters don't let the market define their value, they define it for the market. And controlling the narrative is about owning that conversation. So this isn't just about marketing, it's about the way you frame the category, the problem, the solution, so people automatically see you as the leader. Because studies show that people are 22 times more likely to remember a story than a fact alone. That's why controlling the narrative works. People remember it and repeat it for you. Great example of this is Tesla. They didn't just sell cars, they reframed what a car should be, a status symbol for innovation and sustainability. So the narrative wasn't electric versus gas, it was future versus past. That's how you win without fighting head to head. Just like HubSpot, they didn't invent blogging or email nurturing, but by naming and defining inbound marketing, they positioned themselves as the authority, as competitors had to force to play inside of HubSpot's frame. Or even Salesforce. They didn't just sell software. They created the entire category of cloud CRM, and they positioned themselves as the authority. They didn't just join a conversation, they defined it. So instead of saying, we do business coaching, or I'm a Reiki healer, or we do consulting, you create and own the term for your XYZ methodology or your framework effect, because buyers can repeat your words back to you, and that becomes narrative control. It's why our clients come to us and say, I want to utilize the Netflix effect. How can I apply the easiest method within my business? So your question to be able to own this is, what narrative can you create around your IP that reframes the problem and makes your solution the obvious leader? So let's recap the Pacesetter strategy. You got to lead with your IP, your unique process that makes you the only and undeniable choice. You have to optimize with foresight, anticipating needs before they even hit the mainstream. And lastly, you have to control the narrative, shaping the story so you're not competing for attention, you're owning it. You don't need to do all of this at once, and even just starting with one step can shift you from chasing to setting the new pace in your market. And I know I just dropped a lot on you. That's why I created a simple worksheet that walks you through each step with the exact questions that I asked today. So if you want to get your hands on it, send me a note on IG or Facebook with the word worksheet at Next Level Up CEO. Because here's the truth. If you're not setting the pace, you're following someone else's lead. And the businesses that thrive aren't just in the race, they're the one that everyone else is chasing. This is why the easiest method goes beyond just making you a category leader and actually takes that methodology, that IP, and turns it into its own selling system so that you no longer have to chase clients or chase demand, but instead you have a system that allows your leads to sell themselves. And there's 3 key pieces to it, and it starts with winning the market. See, your best clients, the ones who already want to buy right now, aren't looking for another take on the same thing. They're searching for a breakthrough that makes them say, this is exactly what I've been waiting for. So while most businesses are just fighting for attention, smart experts are making their competition irrelevant. With our innovation gap methodology, we help you uncover and articulate what makes your work truly innovative by pinpointing the gaps in the market that only you can fill. This is where your IP comes into play, where it becomes your silent partner. This means that you're not just another option, you're the only option for high intent buyers. So instead of chasing and convincing, you're You're creating demand where high-end clients are seeking you out, instantly seeing your value, and investing without hesitation. This step alone allows my clients to 5 to 10x their prices, have clients lining up to work with them, but also knowing that they own the category of work that they're doing. Now, once you have this, the next step is turning your innovative IP into a bingeable decision system. Think of how Netflix gets you to sit down and binge watch an entire series without taking a break and become a diehard fan. Now, imagine your buyers doing the same thing with you, where they binge their way through your sales system, and with each episode, they become obsessed. They sell themselves on you every single step of the way. We call this the bingeable decision system, and it works by mirroring the natural decision process every single person goes through, so buyers can binge their way through your sales system, coming out so eager, so ready to work with you that they beg to get on your calendar and join your program. No more chasing, no more months of back and forth or long sales cycles, and no more feeding your audience so much content that your brain hurts. Just a simple system that gets your leads to sell themselves. Now, the third and final piece is about delivering on the promise you made. See, sustainable businesses understand that marketing alone is not enough. You have to be able to deliver on your promise and create raving fans. This is why we've built our happy client machine, the systematic approach to delivering world-class results to your clients at scale without being fully reliant on you. It's also how you're able to create the IP that now becomes your silent business partner so that you can expand beyond you. Think about having licensing opportunities, being able to create a legacy that far surpasses your own timeline and allows you to create space where you have happy clients who are singing your praises to anyone that they meet, while also being able to actually enjoy your life. This is how the likes of Tony Robbins and Donald Miller have been able to far surpass their own reach and be able to create a movement within their method. This is the power behind the EZS method, building your systems, your strategies, your innovation to take your industry and the world by storm so you become the most talked about and most bought from experts. So if you're an action taker and you want to see how the EZS method can be applied inside of your own business, I want to invite you to apply for a growth optimization call. On this call, we'll review your approach to getting consistent clients. We'll specifically look how to position your work so people are chasing you down. And then I'll share with you how the EZS method can be applied to turn your expertise into a bingeable masterpiece. So if you're ready to apply for your call, head on over to ezsleads.com/call. But if you're new around here or want to learn more about how we use the Netflix effect to get leads to sell themselves using the EZS method, I want to invite you to check out our on-demand mini series that shares the exact 3 steps of how you get your leads to sell themselves. You can head on over to thenetflixeffect.com to check this out. Now, I hope that you walked away from this episode understanding the drastic difference and what it means to be a reactive versus a proactive leader. So if that has been the case and you have had some major ahas, I would love and appreciate if you could take 1 minute out of your busy day to go rate, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. But until next time, here's to keeping it real.